Now, the reason that this residue of past emotional pain built up chemically in the body is because most of the ways that we're taught to deal with emotions actually make it worse. And I'll go through them one at a time. The first one is to ignore them, ignore our feelings. And this is very much a man's trick, although women can be pretty good at this too. I think it's endemic that we try and avoid what we're feeling, and that's normal, relatively normal to try and shut down our feelings. I'm a real man, me. I don't feel nothing. Well, I'm in control of my feelings. I'm in charge of my feelings. And, that can work for a while, but there is a flaw in the plan. Because what tends to happen is that this unresolved past pain builds up and builds up and builds up until there's a bang, there's an explosion of very, very destructive behaviour. We might lose our temper, or we might act out, or we may... But whatever the response to that, it brings back more pain. That's an explosion, and then pain comes back, it builds up again, and there's this habitual cycle. Now, a lot of my early work with mindfulness is working with addicts, which is real addiction in my book, is a maladaptive response to our emotions. And quite often when you see binge addictions, this is what's going on. Binge addictions, self-harm, very commonly this was happening. It's a kind of a build-up of pressure, and then boom, you get this explosion of very destructive behaviour. And quite often I'll get people come and see me, often towards the end of their treatment, and they would say, "Adrian, I feel dreadful." And I'll go, "Great!" A puzzled look. Well, because it was good. Because there they were in my office telling me they felt dreadful, and they hadn't rung their dealer. Which to me, that was a huge step forward. That was actually my job, was to teach them how to feel dreadful without ringing their dealer. Success. Our work is complete. But what it meant is they knew how they felt. And because they knew how they felt, then they could take steps to deal with themselves. They could go for a walk. There were lots of strategies that I could give them to help them manage that particular craving, to deal with themselves in that situation. They could actually break the pattern. And it wasn't until they knew how they felt did they have any chance of breaking that pattern. If you know you're angry, then it's not a great time to have that sensitive conversation, is it? That's a really useful piece of information. If you know you're anxious, then probably that important decision needs to wait, doesn't it? If you're not aware of how you are, you're in trouble. So a big part of mindfulness is actually, is noticing how you are. And when we could do this, we could try this exercise now. Check into your body. How are you feeling? Is there any agitation in the body? Is there any anxiety? Is there any irritation? Or you're feeling calm? Just notice how you are, and that would be a useful thing to do many times a day. Certainly before you do anything important, just check into your body. What am I feeling now? I'm feeling a little bit of frustration. Well, no, I need to deal with that because I don't want to take that frustration into this conversation, or I'm feeling this agitation. Well, I don't want to take that back to my partner or into this meeting. If I'm aware of how I am, then I can take steps to deal with myself. But if I'm not aware of how I am, then there's going to be problems, very likely going to be problems. So feel. It's really important that you learn to feel. Yes, we're going to have to learn to manage that. It can be uncomfortable feeling, but if you know how you are, you've got a chance. Does that make sense?